Hello, everyone. It's Graham Cofe with another My Music. I hope you're all well. It's a chilly start to this week, but that doesn't mean anything when you're streaming material, because it could be any time of year that you're listening to this. So if you're in the Bahamas and it's beautiful and the water is absolutely picturesque blue and the sands are golden. Oh, yeah, I'm actually making myself feel cold just thinking about it. Anyway, I'm going to be speaking to Bishop in a minute, but first, this from Analog Trash. Enjoy.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Thank you for joining me in the middle of the afternoon. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. The letters that you've got there, BSHP, have you had people try and guess what that means? Have you had any weird acronyms thrown at you?
All the time, to be honest. They're just like, what's BSHP? I'm like, well, it's pronounced Bishop. It's literally just my surname without the vowels, that's all.
Well, it's bloody obvious, isn't it?
You think so, but apparently not.
No. So what's the weirdest thing that people have come up with? Has someone actually tried to, think of as, an actual acronym for BSHP and thrown
No,
it at you?
not really. I think people are like, sometimes they're just like, "Psh," and I'm like, what? They're like, "Psh."
Like that.
No, guys, and it's not BSHP either. It's just Bishop.
I love that. So people kind of meet you and actually make like a sound from a drum machine at you.
Yeah, like they're kind of like trying to entice a cat or something.
Oh, that's got to make it into a song somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to be honest, I don't mind it because it kind of, gets people talking, I guess. As long as they're
Absolutely.
saying something, then it's worth it,
I want you to segue into a top 40 song at some point, Bishop.
Yeah,
People always get my name wrong, or something like that.
that's a great idea.
Do you know what I mean? And then even have like in the background.
There's something in that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think that could happen. Where did it all start for you? But when did you first start making music?
Gosh, I started about, I think I'm probably coming up to like the 6th year next year. It was a very weird sort of journey. I mean, I I always sang, but then for a good few years, it kind of was on the back burner because singing and actually being in the music industry is two totally different things.
You're right, yeah.
I never wrote. I never thought that I could, and then I just started sort of meeting people, and they were like, try it. And I wrote some pretty questionable songs, to be honest. But I was really,
Come on, now, hang on, you have to stop there at that point. What was the worst song that you ever wrote?
to be honest, I've actually blocked it out. I'm like, let's just pretend that never happened because,
Okay.
I don't know.
What was
Like,
it about? Come on, what was it about?
I mean, they've all sort of been about romance, but I just
Yeah,
think, you know, it's funny because life experience is like such a huge thing, and
massive.
they're just very basic songs. And obviously when you get into the industry and you work with people, you learn about structure and stuff like that, and it's just a totally different ball game. But I was really lucky, to be honest, because I was just working a normal 9 to 5, and within a year of writing and recording, I started to do like open mic nights, and I got signed to Universal. So I feel like my journey was like, you know, I kind of got catapulted quite quickly into the industry. So I was very lucky in that sense.
Did they tell you? Did the people that signed you? Did
Yeah.
they tell you what it was about you? Because there will be people listening to this who are trying to make it, who have just started writing or whatever, who will now be hanging on every word.
Yeah.
Did they tell you what it was about you or what you did that actually caught their eye?
I mean, everyone has got their thing, and I think there's so many things to consider now, and the fact that the industry's changes like every sort of 18 months to 2 years dramatically, you know. But I think at that time, for me, it was my voice. Because it can't have been my songwriting, to be honest. But I think for
Roses are red, violets are
exactly.
blue. Yeah, right.
But I think they, you know, that's sort of a label's job, and you know, a creative's job is to see the vision and see the potential. And I think at the time, you know, the thing that stood out for them, I guess, was my voice, and it being distinct and how I could use it, and you know, and I guess when you've got a good starting point like that, that someone feels that it's strong enough, you know, there's so much more room to grow. So I think really, like, ultimately, my performance and the way I portrayed songs just with my voice and the emotion that I got through, that was kind of what it was about predominantly at the time.
Yeah. I
But I
think
mean,
that's I think that's vital. I mean, as someone that works as a creative behind other
yeah,
people all day long, I'm looking for some. I always look for someone in or something from my clients. I can't just
yeah,
work with anybody. Yeah,
yeah,
because you're trying to work with someone that where you can add
yeah,
and that you know that you can take it, you can push them as well.
yeah,
And I think sometimes you gather that very quickly that this person's almost at the limit of where they're going to get to
yeah.
with
And
something.
I think the crazy thing for me that I've noticed being in the industry in the last few years is like, it's great because there's a lot more opportunity, but obviously that brings oversaturation, but also like it's not really just about the talent anymore, and there's a lot of other factors to consider, you know, like how you look, what you're saying, who you are as a person, and what you stand for outside of just being an artist. You know, obviously social media and numbers and all that stuff is like such a big thing, and you know, I kind of, I think that's what I've actually really struggled with over the last few years is like, you know, being good enough isn't really what it's all about. Like, there's so many other factors to consider. So, you know, it's part of the journey, I guess, and learning on the job. But I think now, sometimes, you know, you can't help but think, if I was to start now, what would it be about me that would help me stand out from a crowd, you know?
Yeah. I think the difficult thing for a lot of musicians is that it's not, as you say, it's not all about the music.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've just got off another telephone call from giving a bit of advice to someone uh, looking to develop their social media. And one of the things I say to people all day long is it's not about content anymore either. It's not about producing content, because if you think about it,
Yeah.
everybody's producing content. And if
Yeah.
you just produce content for the sake of it, you're literally just throwing more and more stuff up into the ether. Well, the ether's full of it anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's about doing stuff, actually doing stuff, right?
Mm.
And if you're doing enough stuff that's actually making a difference or is actually interesting to people,
Yeah.
then there's your content, right?
Yeah.
You don't get the likes of Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran going, oh, I wonder what I should post on a Monday.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
wonder what I should do on a Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
They'll be thinking, right, okay, do you know what? I'm gonna, like you did recently, I'm gonna go into that Lego store. I'm gonna work behind the counter. I'm gonna hand out special
Yeah.
kits to kids, and I'm gonna interact with the kids, and I'm gonna talk to them about this, and because that's content,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
all about having your diary and your life full of stuff that
Mm.
is interesting to people, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, for sure. And that's what I mean. Like, it's changing all the time, and it's like, I feel like at some point every idea and industry gets oversaturated. So it's like constantly thinking of something new. I mean, I'm 99% sure that at some point we have to run out of ideas because it blows my mind. I'm like, what next?
Well, no, but here's the thing: the human mind is so brilliant that it has infinite capacity for ideas. Do you
Yeah.
know what I think though? Is that as humans, I think that we tend to get lazy, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're lazy. I'm just saying I think as humans, I think we tend to get lazy, and I think then what we do is we tend to try and look elsewhere, or we try and put that on other things like technology to help us out. I think that's why like everybody's gone absolutely bonkers about things like Chat GPT. It's like, oh
Yeah.
wow, this technology can now write a post for me. This technology can now maybe write my lyrics.
Yeah. Which I hate, by the way. Like,
Yeah, right.
I'm just like, how can I take credit for a robot's work? It just does not sit well with me at all. I'm just like, I need to like find some sort of value in what I'm doing. You know, like it blows my mind.
Do you know what the key is to all of this, Bishop? Is to have conversations with people every day.
Yeah,
Have
definitely.
conversations. A bit like when we were joking, but a bit like at the beginning of this, where I said, "Do you know what? You should put that into a song." It's
Yeah,
little things like that where you fire off somebody else, and you go, "Do you know what? Actually, I could take that, and I could, even if it actually ends up going in a completely different direction." I think
yeah.
humans with humans
Well, I
makes
think
it.
as well, I've noticed like, especially in this like newer generation, that people like to, because like back in the day, whenever that was, we used to kind of idolize people that were, you know, celebrities for whatever reason, you know, because they were almost like unreachable. Um,
Yep.
and I feel like now there's been a sort of wave. I think like Lewis Capaldi is an amazing example, but like because of social media, it's like everyone has so much accessibility to what like celebrities are doing. So like they like the familiarity, they like to see like the rawness more so now
Yeah.
than someone being like aloof and mysterious, you know, and being like unreachable. And I think I've kind of growing up, like all of the people that I was like admiring were like so far away. Do you know what I mean? So far removed, and there was like this whole sort of like worship culture thing, and I feel like there's not so much of that anymore because everything is so like attainable and at reach, you know.
A little word at this point goes out to PR companies and management companies who
Yeah,
are managing musicians, because there's a point for a lot of musicians where they go out, they try and make it on their own. They play live gigs, they do this, they do that, and they interact with the people that love them,
yeah,
right? They interact with their fans. And then they get to a point where it starts to get they get a bit of success, and someone in their infinite wisdom tells them, you shouldn't when you come off stage, you should just go back to the truck and shouldn't interact with anyone anymore.
yeah,
You're stupid. You're
yeah,
absolutely stupid, because I think in this day and age, the ones that make the effort and actually go, even if it's like 2 minutes or whatever, and just say hi
yeah,
to a group of fans, they're
yeah,
the ones that actually keep those fans.
yeah, of course. That, yeah, exactly. I agree, and I think if you can find that balance, it's amazing. Like obviously I do understand it to a certain extent where people just kind of shut off and shut down, you know, when they're out of their stage character or whatever you want to call it, because it must be so overwhelming. And that you do get overwhelming feelings by feeling that you're too accessible to people. So I understand it, but I think, like you said, it's really important to find that balance as well, especially now.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it that some people need their own space and
Yeah,
whatever, and some fans can be too in your face. But I
yeah,
think it's reaching that balance whereby even actually, if you go and say to a group of fans, you know what, I'm feeling tired. I can't really stay around, but thank you for coming. Even
yeah,
that,
yeah. It's just
massive.
humanizing people, isn't it? That's the thing.
Here it is. It's just giving, and it's giving. giving people credit for what people are doing, which is that they've chosen to spend their money with you on that opportunity and that time. They've spent their time with you, etc. So I think it's important. I think it's really important.
Definitely.
So you say that singing was always there, etc. Where did that come from? Did your mum and dad, are they musical at all, or did were you a shower singer? Showers, by the way, folks, have got the best acoustics. I've recently, I'm in the middle of having a new shower put in the house, and I had to go and test out the showers in the shops, not for their water-based qualities, but for the acoustics. It's really important.
Well, I don't know, like it's hard to pinpoint. Like I wouldn't say I'm one of five, so like all of us are in creative fields, and we kind of started from like the ground up. Our mum and dad are obviously like so supportive, but they weren't in. I mean, it's a different time, so like they weren't. My mum could sing, but like it was never a thing, So like she was creative to a certain extent. There was definitely that sort of creative nature, but it was never really something that they had a lot of access to be honest.
But I think you've just told me the answer, because we've got 5 children.
Oh, really?
And when you have 5 children, what your parents do, and this is not copping out, right? What your parents do when you have 5 children is you can't parent 5 children at once.
Yeah.
It's impossible, right? So you must have grown up in a house, a bit like our kids, where you have to kind of like entertain each other and make, spend time with each other and like learn from each other and whatever. So I bet some of your creative ability came from your siblings as well.
100%. 100%. Even like playing music, and obviously there's 5 of us, so we all have different tastes. My mum and dad have completely different tastes. So like you are sort of like subconsciously taking inspiration from those moments and those memories. Like even if we're just playing like Simon and Garfunkel in the kitchen and we're all dancing around the kitchen, like
now hang on a minute, you're dancing to Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, I mean that's 100%. My
old friend.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe like the more upbeat stuff, like You Can Call Me Out, but
like, Mrs. Robinson, Mrs. Robinson.
Definitely got home videos of dancing around the kitchen, listening to that stuff, and that never leaves you really. So I guess it does. It definitely stems from somewhere. It has to.
Oh, I love that. I have asked people before now because of that, but I mean, we found ourselves creating songs as we cook. Did you ever get that, like just banging on pots and whatever, and it's like somebody starts and it's like it's brilliant.
I mean,
if you don't do that in your home, you're seriously missing out. It's great for your mental health as well.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to have some fun. But I mean, like all the others, they can definitely all hold a tune for sure. But I'm the only one really that ever did music and took it seriously. So it's funny because we're all in different creative fields, but it definitely merges at some point,
Do you see you ever coming together as a super team? Will you bring your brothers, sisters into the, if you put it this way, if you end up right at the top, you're the next, you're playing Madison Square Garden, all of that sort of malarkey, whatever. You have your brothers and sisters around you, it'll be like the team.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like my youngest brother used to do a lot of my artwork, and my brother who's in like he does like sort of TV production now, but I've had him at backstage at gigs and stuff getting footage, and it's really lovely actually.
Oh,
that's the goal. Like when I've got stability and consistency, is to definitely have them involved as much as possible.
Sounds like you should have your own record label at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. I don't know if I've got the business head for that. I don't think any of us have actually, but creative side sorted, absolutely fine.
You have to, maybe you find a life partner that's got the business head, and then
exactly, yeah, that would be ideal.
And then there you go.
Yeah,
But
someone with the brains, that would be great.
what are you currently writing about?
To be honest, it's I write so much, and I've gone through a lot of phases, so it really depends what I'm writing for. Because obviously, I write to pitch as well, and I write for other artists. So you know, a lot. I went through a big phase of writing dance music, and I find personally there's a bit of a ceiling with that because there's so many subgenres of dance. There's a lot of the time with the commercial stuff, there's only really certain topics that people want to hear about, But I
Yeah.
think my sort of like where my heart is always romance, because it's what everyone experiences. Everyone's got their own take on it and spin. So it's like generally that is what I tend to write about, and that's kind of what the next sort of up and coming releases are about, like past relationships and stuff.
Do you ever see yourself when you write those songs then? Because if they're about romance and that's the kind of thing, do you ever go, oh, I'd love to see that in a film? That will be. Do you ever think about where else it could travel to, other than people
Yeah,
listening to it as a song?
of course. Yeah, I think definitely. I've definitely had those moments where I'm like, oh, this would have been great in like the Barbie film, or it's like I don't ever write it with that.
Why didn't they put me in the Barbie
I know,
film?
exactly, so selfish. But no, I think about it all the time. I don't think about it so much when I'm creating it, unless again it's like a direct pitch. But the stuff that's mine, that's like close to me, or it's about a situation I've gone through at that moment in time, I'm just writing for me. And then sometimes I come away from it, or it won't be released for 3 years, and I'll be like, that would actually be great for this, or or that seems like the subplot of that film. Like it's really weird. But yeah.
Oh, well, let's hope that happens for you.
Yeah, it'd be great for
Or
sure.
TV advert. If your song got picked up, well, obviously the record company pitched it as a TV advert.
Mm.
Is there anything you'd say no to in terms of product? Is that, well, you're not using it for that, no.
um Off the top, I mean, I'm sure there's some questionable brands that I would definitely be
Right.
not like to work with, but off the top of my head, I couldn't say at the moment.
Well, just wait for the conversation to happen then. I
Exactly. Yeah.
think what we're hearing, record company, is that actually she's pretty open to it being used for anything, but try pitching it and see.
Yeah. Exactly.
If
Let's have a
you'll soon
conversation
find out what
first.
Bishop does or doesn't want one of her songs being used for.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll know when it's there.
What was the song that changed everything for you as a listener?
As a listener, oh my
Mm,
god. I mean, there's obviously a few. Um, I grew up sort of being like a die-hard fan of Coldplay. So there's definitely a handful, which people are always really surprised about because my stuff is very R&B soul influenced. Um, but I just think like Chris Martin's writing as a whole is undeniable. I think they really,
he's a great songwriter. How can you?
yeah,
I mean,
he definitely did something for me for sure, and like Stevie Wonder as well. But like in terms of like time era and what I grew up listening to, they definitely made their mark. But I always say The Winner Takes It All by ABBA.
yeah.
Like I could never get bored of that song, and I listen to it and I still cry because I just think it's up tempo, but it's just so sad, and I think it's just a very very powerful song.
It's pop perfection, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that song, and it's so funny because everyone says as you go through experiences in your life, you might have heard a song 10 times, but when you experience certain things, you hear it so differently. And I can actually, now being older, when I hear her sing that, I'm just like, I actually die inside for her because I'm just like, I think I know how you feel. And I
Oh,
amazing thing about music. That's what I love about music so much. Is all perspective.
So at some stage, we expect to see you release your own cover version of that.
Oh my God, I would love to. I've thought about it,
Yeah.
so I've thought about it a lot.
What would you bring to it? What would you bring to that? Because obviously it's been done a million times.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard many other versions, but I haven't looked because, why do you need to when the original's so amazing? But I think if I were to do a version of it, it would just be a lot more stripped down ballads.
I was going to say, I could see you maybe just doing it with like an acoustic guitar and
Definitely.
maybe,
They're just very
maybe,
simplistic. I think you can afford to do that when the songwriting's so amazing.
yeah, just a little bit of
Maybe some
little,
string, just a lot of
oh,
string.
yeah, yeah. Or even like some of the kind of production that you get on some of the dirty hit albums by 1975 or the Japanese
Yeah.
House or whatever, where it's just got little sounds rippling through it, but
Yeah.
it's not over the it's not bombastic, if you know
Yeah,
what I
of
mean.
course. Yeah, no, 100%.
Do you love all that kind of modern production? I think that some production is kind of out of this world now
Mm.
in terms of the quality of sound that can be produced and kind of the textures of sound that can be produced.
Yeah, I mean, what producers can actually do now is so advanced, and I think, again, it's all down to taste. I mean, for me as a writer, the top line is so important. So I feel like a lot of the time the production doesn't bother me so much if the top line is strong. But I love everything. I love acoustic sounding stuff, and then I like a lot of these advanced stuff that you hear, like James Blake and stuff. I think he's an amazing example of. I mean, I don't even know where his head goes, but some of his stuff is ridiculous. It's so insanely clever. But again, I just think it's down to your taste, really, and mine is very, very broad. Like I like a bit of everything. So
Everyone always says that though. Everyone says they're very eclectic. I have to ask you though, is there any genre that you wouldn't go to when
um,
you're writing?
I mean, probably heavy metal.
Right? We're not going to hear you go that anytime soon.
No,
No.
definitely not my vibe. I don't think I could write that even if I wanted to. I don't think I'd be very good.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think what.
Screamo,
Yeah, no, not my
Oh,
not my vibe. Um, Other than that, not sure really. I mean, I haven't tried too many. I haven't gone too far left with any of my sounds yet. But
what about something like country? Because obviously that's becoming insanely popular again. Would you go there, or it's just not? That's not.
yeah, I would. I definitely would. I think it all depends sort of what's commercialized. I love commercial music, and I think
Yeah,
again the amazing thing about country and a lot of the writers in like Nashville, which are their songwriting, like minus the production, is like almost a genre in itself. The way that they write, and I think again for me it's about the top line. So I'm definitely not against country music at all because I think a lot of the songwriting that comes out of that is just ridiculous. It's so
there's an
good.
insane amount of talent in Nashville at the moment, just
Yeah,
producing song after song after song. I just think
yeah,
it's incredible.
yeah,
We've had a few musicians on here that have got writing teams in Nashville as well as
yeah,
over in the UK, and just go out there to, you know, I think it'd be a great experience to go for a start, just to pick up that kind of culture of like,
100%.
by the sound of it, it sounds like you literally go to an area where everybody is completely immersed in music 24
Yeah,
hours a day.
definitely, definitely. I think, yeah, I think that what they're doing over there and is amazing. And I've definitely, I work with so many different people and had the pleasure of meeting and working with so many different people who have got inspiration and like they've got certain influences from certain genres. And I've definitely worked with people who are amazing at country writing. So like even I mean I have so much music like back catalogue of music that hasn't been out yet. So I've definitely got some traditionally sort of country written top lines for sure already.
Well, listen, half an hour has just gone in the blink of an eye, just like that, which is always good, isn't it? I mean, if it doesn't feel like half an hour, then that's always a good thing, I think.
Time flies, as they say. Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun. Before I leave you to, and we just get from you the details of where people can connect with you and get to hear more of your music, because we will do that. We've got Christmas coming up. Have you ever considered a Christmas song? I have talked to a few guests about this recently to see whether they were, maybe up for, because I feel it's time that we actually had a new sort of generation of Christmas hit. And I just think,
Definitely. I think I've only ever written one Christmas song. I feel as though there's a really specific way of doing it, and I haven't quite nailed it yet. But it was something that I would absolutely love to achieve, is to get a really solid sort of Christmas song out there.
who would you like to work with on a Christmas song? Who do you think would absolutely nail it?
You know what? I think Ed Sheeran always does a great Christmas something.
Yeah.
Even if that wasn't his intention, it seems to like
Sounds a little bit like Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas" is like, it's always going to be one of my favourites. So if there's some way I could recreate that, that'd be amazing.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I'm getting all Christmassy and excited already now.
I promise next year. Missed the boat for this year, but I will try for you next year.
Next year, 2024. Look out, Bishop will be doing it in the charts.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Christmas song, number one.
Yeah.
Can stay another day for that one. Before you leave us, and thank you so much for coming in and sharing a little bit of your time with us today. Where is the best place for people to connect with you, and how do you want people to kind of connect with you? Because obviously there's your music's on things like Spotify, etc., and people can go there. Yeah, but where would you like people to connect?
I mean, generally, it's Instagram and TikTok. I think that they're two very different platforms for different types of content, and I think TikTok is a bit more personal and random, which I know people love. But either of those platforms, to be honest, I think that they kind of get two versions of Bishop. So I think having access to those is always a great way for me to like interact with fans and stuff. And I plan on doing a lot more sort of like TikTok lives, which are a bit
nice.
of a moment. So where people can jump in and ask questions and stuff. So yeah, either of those, to be honest, and they're both like just Bishop. So
lovely.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I'm doing with some other artists as well is we're doing some inter-artist lives as well on Instagram. And it'd be nice if you'd like to take part in one of those at some point as well.
100%, love that.
Because I just feel that that's something that's been missing out there from the sort of the content side of things, which is that artists asking questions of other artists. It's kind of like you've got plenty of people like me asking questions of artists, but I think sometimes it's nice to have artists talking to artists as well, and perhaps opening up about some of the things that are quite difficult, like portrayal on social media or stuff like that, and how you deal with it, from one artist to another. And it's that's also, I think, great content for people that are aspiring to be in the industry as well, to kind of learn what the pitfalls are from other people that have been there, seen it, done it, got the t-shirt, as it were.
Definitely. And there's definitely a lot of those, like I think it's like you say, it's just sort of having access to every element of what being in a certain industry is like. And I think, without setting up something that might be not very organic to talk about something, I think Instagram lives and having that open platform is a great opportunity to do that.
Lovely. Well, we will make sure that happens. I shall also send you my address, so that if you want to send something to put onto the board, then that would be fantastic. And also, everybody that comes on the show gets to choose one of their songs to go on the My Music podcast playlist list, which is now standing at a whopping 17 hours, I think, of music. But what would you like to pick to put on it?
Oh, that's a difficult question.
It's a difficult one, but why do you have to answer?
Well, does it what sort of time era are we thinking? Does it have to be new or old?
No, it can be anything you like from your catalogue.
Do you know what I absolutely love? Because it's October Sky by Yeba. I would love to see on that playlist. If that's okay.
Yes, absolutely. I'm doing it. I'm writing it down.
Amazing.
It's on there. It shall be added. There we go.
Perfect.
Folks, this has been the wonderful Bishop. She's been a great guest. If you haven't ever heard her music before, then you're a fool. What have you been doing? You must go and try it out now. Connect with her on the Instagram and the TikTok. Laugh along, cry along. Ask her questions so that she can interact with you. We will be back soon with more of this. If you've liked it, then please do share it with your friends, your family, your dogs, your cats, whoever. If you haven't liked it, what can I say? You're just sad and lonely and no one really cares. Until next time, thank you so much for being my guest. Bye for now.